Welcome back. Previously, we covered the income approach as it contributes to value, and we reconciled that with the comparable sales approach and the cost approach as appraisers come up with their final reconciliation of value. There is, however, another approach for income producing property where they utilize a multiplier, either a gross rent multiplier or a gross income multiplier. And the formula for determining value using the multiplier would be, from the gross rent perspective, would be the sales price. And those of you guys who have the book, it's approximately, it's in 16.9, the gross rent multiplier. Sales price divided by the gross monthly rent of a given property gives you the gross rent multiplier. And for the gross income multiplier, it would be the sales price divided by the annual rent. Gives you the gross income multiplier. And some of us may be a little more proficient in algebra than others. And then you can correlate this either way. If you have two of the three, you can find the third one. Sales price is equated to the value. So if you're looking for the value, so basically, and then the book has an example. A single family home sold for $229,400. With the gross rent multiplier, has a monthly rental of $1,850. The monthly $1,850 was the monthly rent. So what is the gross rent multiplier? And I'm cheating now. I'm not going to pull out my calculator. That gross rent multiplier would be the sales price divided by the monthly rent that it would command, gives you 124 gross monthly rent. And so what happens is, an appraiser, they would take that 124 gross monthly rent and look at comparable properties and look at the rents that they're getting, multiplying that by 124, and that's how they would determine the value of a given property. This is some multiple of the marketplace sales price times the rent it would command. As you have different rents, 1,700 times this 124 would be a value. Or if it was only renting for $1,000, I can do this on my head, times this multiplier. Lower rents, lower value would give you 124,000 in terms of value. Right, obviously it would sell for less because it's getting less rents, okay? And then the formula, how you would estimate market value, I'll go ahead and do it, is the gross rent multiplier is sales price divided by gross monthly rent equals the GRM. Or the opposite version of that would be the monthly rent. The monthly rent times the gross rent multiplier equals the sales price or the market value. Okay? And the gross income multiplier is the same concept, only you'll be using the annual rent instead of the monthly rent. So therefore that multiplier will be a little less because it'll be the annual rent, but the formula would be the same. So again, chapter 16, appraisal concept, great, approximately 8 questions will be there. Now, give you a quick summary of the concepts you need to know. You need to know the 3 approaches to value, comparable sales, cost, income. When you go to income, 2 formulas you need to know: PGI minus vacancy and collection, EGI minus OE, operating expenses, NOI. And the second part of that formula is ERV, income divided by rate equals value for the income approach. Also, from the cost approach, 3 sources of depreciation: physical, functional, and economic, or I like to say external, because you can't control your external environment. okay? And the comparable sales approach, comparable sales, the most commonly utilized, of which if it's superior, you adjust your comps downward. If it's inferior comparable, you adjust the comp upward. You adjust the comp, not the subject. The subject property is the property being appraised. So good luck as you pursue your Florida real estate license. Good luck as you perform the appraisal. And good luck in chapter 16 as you deal with the appraisal section. And one final thing, I did forget this. This may be a probable question. Appraisers are licensees cannot do appraisals unless they're state certified. That would be chapter 475, part 2. But we're here teaching 475, part 1. So what can you do? You can do appraisal if it's not a federally related transaction, which most of them are. So appraisal, practically probably not, but you can do such if it's not a federal transaction. But most importantly, what you probably will do on your day-to-day basis, a CMA and a BPO. And with the BPO, with the CMA, what do you do with the CMA? The CMA takes appraisal concepts, but they're looking at active sales, active properties that are being listed, closed sales, and expired listings, and making adjustments accordingly as far as the uniqueness of those sales relative to the subject property of which they're trying to get that listing or have a recommendation of value for their respective client. A BPO, the appraiser must state if they're licensed under Part 1 as a regular licensee, sales associate, broker associate, or broker, they must clearly state that the BPO is not an appraisal, but it's an indication of value which they can charge a fee for, okay? If they're a licensed appraiser, they must adhere to USPAP. Remember that word, that may be a test question. Uniform Standards, Practice, and Procedures. Licensed appraisers must adhere to USPAP. Okay? And if not, BPO, CMA, they do not have to comply with USPAP. They're utilized to give an indication of value to service the clients. Also, I believe recently they even had a question about automated valuation methods. And that would be your Redfins, your Zillows, things of that nature, where they're looking at automated valuations to come up with data, to come up with the indication of value. Now, again, as the realtor, you're the professional, but the general public has access to this data. So it's important that you understand appraisal concepts, the marketplace, things of that nature, and be able to discuss and speak intelligently and informatively to your clients to interpret the data and bring it back to the marketplace. Good luck as you pursue your licensure. Good luck as you take the state exam. And I'm looking forward to you getting 8 out of 8 on the appraisal section of chapter 16.